all the same. You have inside the pollen content is consists of plants which are pollinated by bees. Not other plants are also present, but it's small enough, and therefore you have to be sure that it's from the bees which comes inside. And yes, no, not the next, still this one. Yes, you can also look for the flowering times in the plants, and you have a very high biodiversity in contrast to modern honeys. The reason for this, the Celtic people in Central Europe were no beekeepers. They looked in the forest. Here is a tree, and here is and then they waited until autumn, and then they came with fire and smoke, and they expelled the bees and harvested all honey, and they had all honey, and therefore this high biodiversity. Another reason for the high biodiversity, the Iron Age landscape had a higher biodiversity as a modern industrial landscape. Okay, this is about honey and meat, and now we go. The next step is wine. The same. I have no slides for you. I have had only in my time as a working time one example for wine, and this the basis of wine amphorae from Egypt of the Coptic period. And yes, we looked inside this was also material inside, and we looked after the pollen, and some of them had pollen, and most of them had pollen of wine. This and then this now why in wine is there pollen of wine? Because in my vineyard the plants now start flowering this week, and then I must wait 3 months or so before I can harvest the right grapes to make wine. The advantage of my own vineyard was I could do experiments, and we did such experiments and harvested in the time when the grapes were ripe. The grapes, we analyzed the surface of the berries, we analyzed the stems of the fruit stand, and we analyzed later the products until the ready wine. And in all states, on the plants, there was a lot of pollen of wine on site. And this means you can buy pollen of wine in this, you can perhaps detect that there was wine inside. In this case, there was one amphora. There was the most common pollen, not wine, but Brassicas, I do not know the Brassicas in English, but in French I do not know. This yellow or white plants with frost flowers and so, and okay, and these were plants. They were also used for bees to produce honey, and the interpretation of this amphora was this was no pure wine inside, but they added honey that improved the quality of the wine, even in Egypt. Perhaps not all wine was perfect from the beginning. Okay, now I changed to the beer. And there's only one example also, and this is from Rohan, from the Merovingian period. Now the next is. Oh, yeah. Trossingen is situated in southwestern Germany near the Upper Neckar and the Upper Danube and the border of the Swabian Alps, and it's in a distance of 120 kilometers to Saverne, to the east. And there is a Merovingian time graveyard known since the 19th century. 68 graves were excavated in the 7th century. It is since 1872, and 3 last graves among them the grave number 58 were excavated 2001 and 2. In this region, there we have got a lot of conditions in the soil because of the geological setting. This grave 58 was very rich. It was a burial of a male. He died in an age of about 40, and he had a very, very complete equipment. There is one I have highlighted. One I will come back to it. A bottle of Ether wood. Next, please. Here are some pictures to Merovingian time graves. This is Lauchheim, another place with wet preservation. Next, please. This is a reconstruction of the grave 58 in Trossingen with a lot of rich things. Then next, please. The dead was in a bed. Next. And he had also a music instrument with him, a lyra. Do not know the French name. Lyra. Okay. Next, please. And there were some very special botanical finds in these graves. One is I don't know. The English name is Blätternut. The French I do not know. I didn't find on the internet. It's a tree with pinnated leaves, and it has very big roots to see on the bottom on the right with the plant. And the seeds inside are also big, 1 centimeter or so, and they are loose, and they shadow when you move this roots. And therefore, the German name is Pimpernut, English Blätternut. They used it in the past to produce collier and so forth for women, also for men, I do not know. Next, please. Another spectacular find was Lagenaria sicinaria, the bottle gourd or the gourd. No, Calebas. Calebas is interesting because we hear this morning of the cloister plan of Saint Gall, and in the same time there was in the monastery of Reichenau and the monk Walafritz Strabo, he wrote a poem about horticulture, and he described the garden of the Reichenau and the plants. And in the books which were published later about this garden, they said it's all true, but Walafritz also described Lagenaria, the Calebas, but the perspective is that he had fantasies, or he remembered not well, and he mixed other things together. He saw it in other places. So, but I saw they constructed this garden with the plants in the Reichenau, and I saw there ripe Lagenaria Calibasis with ripe Calibasis. I must confess I harvested one illegally for our reference collection. And but yeah, it's long ago. I don't know if the police do not longer kind of research. Okay, but now to the beer. It was a preludium, and now the next thing. Yeah, we come back to the bottle made of wood. Next, please. Yeah. But first, we go back to the total historian. There are a lot of plants, material inside, a lot of cereals. Most probably, the bed of the dead man was made of cereal, of straw, and so on. And highlighted is the most common cereal on the top for the discipline, l'orge de brassage. Yeah. And also houblon was present, also highlighted. Yeah, also common cereals were l'amidonné, le poudre, the most common. Okay, next, please. Yeah, the question is the presence of turo barley and of complet a proof for beer brewing? I think no. No proof. You see here in the middle, and this the description to the left, the turo barley, wet preserved, very well preservation. We must say it's, as far as I know, in the moment, the oldest turo barley in Central Europe. The next oldest is 800 years younger, more than 800 years of the late medieval period. It's the archaeologists here, Tanya, know that for the identification of turo barley, you need either stocks of charred grains. When you have always, when with normal barley, with six-row barley, you have grains which are not symmetric. But when you have turo barley, all grains are straight. But when you have no stocks, it's very difficult. Only when you have very well wet preservation conditions, you can identify was here the case. Now, but it's no proof for beer production. Next, please. But we have the bottle. And now there is a picture. You will perhaps see nothing. I must go very close to see. This is a list of plants which are identified in the bottle. It was not very much. I think normally we count, register at least 1,000 pollen grains. Here it's only 300. So it was not so much. It was pleasant. And the next, please. We grouped it in several groups. 3 main groups. So it looks like 4, but it are 3. A major component is pollen coming from malt or from beer. They are in what's the name? In violet on the bottom. It's a third or so. No moment. This is honey. Malt and beer are in blue and in light violet. And the blue are the cereal pollen, and the light violet are the wheats, coffee. And together they are a little bit more than 1/3. And also 1/3 is the dark violet on bottom. These are plants which are pollinated by bees, they must come from honey. And the third group, we can ignore it. This is aerial input of plants which produce a very lot of pollen, but are distributed by wind. And there is two very small columns. Each one pollen grain is houblon and wine. Okay. And now, how to interpret these results? In the beginning, we had no idea. We think it was first filled with beer, later with wine, and so on. But this was not very convincing for us ourselves, the interpretation. The next, please. Therefore, we did some experiments to produce beer and to look in the pollen content of the stages beer production, and also in the final beer. And of course, unfiltered. When you filter beer, there is no pollen grains. Next, please. Okay, the experimental setting was we buy Turo barley from a biological farmer. He must harvest by hand, not with combined harvester. And we let the malting do in the Institute for Brewing Technology in Weinstefan in Bavaria. And the brewing did a professional brewer for us. And we told him, you must add some honey. And he added 1 kilogram of biologically produced honey per 100 liter water. And from all production steps, pollen samples were taken, and the rest of the beer was consumed. It had the character of a bock beer, about 9 or 10% of alcohol, and then a slight taste of honey. It was not so bad. But next, please. Okay, now comparison between the experimental results and the results from the grapes. On the left is the grapes. You see the malt component on the bottom in blue, the cereals, and afterwards in light violet the grains, the weeds, the crop weeds. Then the honey component, and after on top the aerial component. And then we spread the column in the middle. This is the word. It's not so more interesting as the ready beer. And we see in the column for the ready beer, the honey component is stronger than in the grape. This means our kilogram honey addition was too much. We must have added perhaps half of it. The next, please. I come already to conclusions. Okay, the first conclusion: pollen of the field could be traced in all stages of growing, even in the ready beer. Pollen of honey addition as well was no big surprise. The honey addition in the Trossingen beer was less than in the experiment I mentioned already. A honey addition changes the beer's taste and strongness, but has also another effect. It stimulates the fermentation process, because before you bring beer to fermentation, it is heated or even cooked to bring the sugar in solution. And afterwards, the yeast particles which were inside the living are dead. And it's difficult starting the fermentation. It's more difficult than with wine. With wine, it's easy. You mash the grapes inside and then you wait. And depending on the temperature, it will start in 1 or 2 days. will start from alone. Okay. And an addition of grape wine mash, which we also perhaps did a little bit one grain of wheat, but this grain can also come another way inside by insects also. But perhaps they also added grape wine mash also to stimulate fermentation. And when we compare the wild plants, the weeds and so on, between the experiment and the old beer, there is a big difference. The crossing beer cereals were infested heavily with weeds, a lot of weeds. And I must also, I forget to mention, according to the pollen types cereals in the bottle, they used not only the two-row barley but also all other cereals which were available. The only lacking is the panicum, but panicum is very difficult to identify as pollen because it's small and difficult. Okay, and another striking for a striking result was the brewer used now fresh Home Blanc, but pellets, put pellets inside. It's the normal way today in modern brewery technology. And we also analyzed the pellets. And you must know that the Houblon plant has the two different plant types, male plants and female plants. And only the male plants produce pollen, but only the female plants are useful for beer spicing. And in modern hemp gardens, they only cultivate female plants and they extinct the male plants. But in the pellets, we found several grains of hemp, of Houblon. And we do not know why, perhaps some male plants escaped in the garden. This is, we do not know, but they are present. Okay, and yes, the hemp gardens are younger than our Merovingian period. They started in the Carolingian period, started hemp gardens before they collected the Houblon in the wild native plant of Europe, and they could collect it. Next, please. Okay, therefore, I think only this single grain of Houblon is proof for using this plant for flavoring beer. And the other cereals which they used apart from barley was spelt, oats, rye, six-row barley, emmer, and Eiger. All what was available. We know from other archaeobotanical research that in this Merovingian period, agriculture was self-subsistence agriculture, not producing for a market, but for own. And in such an agriculture, it's always better to have more different crops to avoid crop failure or to circumvent crop failure. And it's also an advantage to bring the times of cultivation and of working on the field and harvesting in a broader time span. So you must not do all in the same time. Okay, and I think I'm more or less finished. I must say that according to the EU law and also the Purnes Order of 1516 in Germany, this was no beer at all. This was a kind of designer drink. Okay, thank you very much for the last.
Et effectivement, la menace des forêts,
One question, you remember the months later, or we made an experiment, not in this bottle, oh, small bottle, 1 liter, 1 liter. He had, the date could not have met very thirsty with such a small amount. But when you use the water, it's kind of hard to put, you know. And they opened it on one side and they started to manufacture it, and they hollowed it, and then they put the lid on it and fixed it with some kind of who you don't know what you call it.
early Iron Age.
Yeah.
Do you know
It's an archaeological historical question. I'm no specialist for this. I can only give my opinion, and yes, the Hallstatt period was a period with first centralization. But the Merovingian period here in France, the Merovingians were, perhaps there was also centralization, but in Swabia, in Alemannia, these were tribes and farmers and warriors, but not organized, no political organization. And they were still hiding, not Christianized, and yes, and their organization was, I think, the organization of the political and also economic organization of Hallstatt period was already higher. And in the Latin period, it was even higher. It was perhaps, in, for example, the Gallo-Roman in France before the Romans came, the Gallo, when there were the Opita, that was the high standard of organization and in all matters. It was reached perhaps in the medieval, high medieval again.
Yeah,
maybe I could answer your question in your remark. We talked about this and I think the similarity between the period and this period, you can find the similarity with and it's a different maybe which I here with and more with cultural practices than history.
May I continue now? We have published in years ago. We think that there was that after the Neolithic, the normal system of agriculture was field grass economy without man moving, but with short period of cultivation and then fallow phase, longer fallow phase, using the place as pasture. And afterwards, the soil will regenerate, and after several years, you can come back and plow again and do again and so on. And this system, in my opinion, was first intensified in the Roman period. The Romans started short fallow systems, and the short fallow systems you have more space for cultivation, more production. But it's only possible when you do manual collect the droppings of the animals, compost it and bring it out. This is a condition for short fallow systems. And we think we have indication that it started in the by these, but it started in the Roman period because before there were a lot of permanent weeds which for many years, which are today not on the meadows, they were on the trees. Yeah, and afterwards in the Roman days, it disappeared only annuals. And then in the period, migration period, the permanent and it came back because it was for the time for the Romans in the Roman period. They did very simple, not so sophisticated agriculture, where all the properties and also
thank you, Manfred. I want to just thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you about the bottle because last year I made an exposition with archéologiques in complet with Merovingian archéologiques, and it's an exposition about beer. And I worked with a craftsman to recreate the bottle. And I want to just ask you if you try to age your experimental beer inside the bottle, a replica of the bottle. And if not, I know a craftsman who has one. And if you want to taste. No, yeah, of course, we can. With you. Yeah, it's probably possible. Thank you. Yeah.
Merci, Manfred.
Alors, ici, c'est celui-là, on double-clique, et puis péter, double-clique. Ouais. Alors, on va l'ouvrir directement. Je ne sais pas du tout. Je ne sais pas si, j'espère que ça s'ouvre. Voilà.
Merci.